William Byron gets win number 6, and several playoff drivers have trouble. Let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this Monday. All right, William Byron gets win number 6 on the season. He locks himself into the round of 8 in the playoffs, and it is win number 300 for Hendrick, and they broke out the big hats for this event. Some people like the big hats. Some people don't like the big hats, but it is what it is. It's forever going to be immortalized in history with win number 300. But more importantly, this has been the quietest 6-win season I can recall of a NASCAR driver having in his entire career. We have talked about Kyle Larson. We've talked about Martin Truex Jr., and we have talked about Denny Hamlin as all being, at various points in the season, championship contenders. But aside from very early on in the season, nobody has really talked about William Byron might be the guy that wins this championship. So today we might as well just accept the fact that William Byron is having a really good season, and he should be at least considered one of the Final Four or championship favorites. That being said, that unfortunately is not the story of the day. The story of the day is several playoff drivers getting into the carnage that was this Texas chaos race. Kyle Larson led a ton of laps, dominated basically the second half of the race, but he took himself out when he got loose, racing Bubba Wallace there on one of the restarts at the end. He took the inside lane. Bubba Wallace took the outside lane. He drove it in there really deep, and even though these cars don't normally get that side suck where if you get them too close, they'll spin the other car out, that's essentially what happens. So rare that it happens with these cars, but with that excessive 100-degree heat in Texas, probably the tire wear and grip wasn't as good as it normally is. So Kyle Larson takes himself out after basically dominating the second half of this race. He wasn't the only one that had trouble, though. Kyle Busch, early on in the race, Kyle Busch was running top 5, had a really good car, but for whatever reason, something happened. He either cut down a tire or something was wrong with the car, but Kyle Busch also having trouble. And then there were several other playoff drivers, which we will address when we get to good race, bad race. But one other thing I wanted to touch on here was Bubba Wallace had a good run. He did everything he could have done. I don't think he had the fastest car. He definitely did in the first half of the race. I think led about 111 laps or something like that, but didn't have the fastest car at the end, and I think he made the best of what he had there at the end. But then he got out of the car and he said, "I choked." So a little over dramatic, but I think he did. I think when he looks back at it today, he's going to say that, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. And speaking of Bubba Wallace, before we get to good race, bad race, not him, but the 2311 team that's pushing his car here. You see Ross Chastain giving this interview. You see that they push Ross Chastain's car out of the way, so plenty of room for a car to get by there. Then you see this right here while the interview is going on, and they intentionally push the car into Ross Chastain because there was definitely plenty of room to push that car elsewhere while he's giving his interview. And you can tell by the way he breaks his concentration and doesn't know what to say next that this was definitely, he was not happy about this, and I don't think they were happy with him. I think this goes to at least one of the blocks that he threw late to cost Bubba Wallace essentially a second place position. He threw a late block on Bubba Wallace in their opinion. To me, it was just racing at the end of the race, but I think they also might have gotten into each other a little bit throughout the field, throughout the race itself. But very interesting going forward. The reason this is interesting is these two drivers are playoff drivers, and we know neither one of these drivers is known for taking crap off of the other one. We've seen Bubba Wallace with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. We've seen him wreck them. And then, of course, Ross Chastain, it was well documented last season. We don't even need to get into the Ross Chastain thing. But going to be interesting going forward if these two drivers maybe get into it on the track. All right, now on to good race, bad race. Obviously, good race for William Byron. Win number 6, like I said. Ross Chastain with that second place finish. Definitely some good momentum for them and Trackhouse going forward. Bubba Wallace with that third place finish did basically everything he needed to do except win the race there with that third place. Christopher Bell out of nowhere with that fourth place finish. Denny Hamlin continues to have a strong playoff run with that fifth place finish. Kevin Harvick with the sixth place finish. Another guy that sort of came out of nowhere there. Brad Keselowski ran good all day. Gets the seventh place finish there. Daniel Suarez finishes 8th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Once again has a good run, but unfortunately knocked out of this round. He started his good playoff run a little too late there. All right, now on to bad race. Bad race for Kyle Busch. Puts himself in a hole there by wrecking there early on in the race. He finishes 34th there. Kyle Larson, 31st. Hurts himself playoff points-wise as well. He is -2 under the cut line. Like I said, we're going to get to that in just a second. And then Eric Jones. Eric Jones had a really fast car, probably the second fastest car on the day. He got caught up in one of those accidents as well. So good run for him, but then he gets caught up in that and ends up finishing 30th. So bad race for him. And just above, not pictured here, but 28th was Ryan Blaney. He was caught up in one of those wrecks in the race as well. All right, now let's go to the playoff picture. William Byron, of course, leading the points. He is locked into the next round. Then you got Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and Ross Chastain all there. And then right here at the cutoff line, 7 and 8, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson. So Kyle Larson is +2. They updated this points while I was talking about the other stuff. So Kyle Larson is +2. Bubba Wallace is -2. Tyler Reddick -3. Ryan Blaney -11. Kyle Busch -17. So those are the guys on the outside looking in. -17, not insurmountable, so nothing crazy needs to happen, but it's definitely going to put in perspective what happens at Talladega here, because that's going to be basically a survival race, and then the Roval is going to be another wild card race as well. All right, one more thing. Ryan Preece is going to run the Wonderbread car, and Chase Briscoe is going to run the Old Spice car from Talladega Nights. So Stewart HAAS announced that as I was recording this here. So look for those in the future. I hate that movie. If you like it, that's you. I'm not telling anybody how to live, but I hate that movie, so I'm not throwing pictures of it up because just not my favorite movie. All right, that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe down below. All your subscriptions are appreciated, and if you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you all as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.